Greetings everyone, this is Amara, and this is my channel Eyes Wide Shut, where I talk about politics and current affairs. Today I'm going to be discussing 3 concepts with one theme running through it. Number 1, emotional frequency. Number 2, how words are spells. And number 3, wherever the mind goes, energy flows. Now before I start, I want you to listen to this and tell me how you feel when you hear these words. And listen to the vibration, listen to the frequency. Listen to the vibration and listen to the frequency of these words. And you tell me, what do you think? I want you to leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Listen.
Why did you join my beloved cult? Sir, to kill, sir! So you're a killer? Sir, yes, sir! Let me see your war face. Sir, you got a war face? Ah! That's a war face! Now let me see your war face! Ah! Bullshit! You didn't convince me! Let me see your real war face! Ah! You don't scare me! Work on it!
Wow. How did that make you feel? Listen to the vibration and listen to the frequency and the emotion, the intent also in the voice. Yeah? This soldier was saying he wants to join the army because he wants to kill. He wants to kill. Yeah? And then he does this war cry. Now I've got to ask you this. How did that make you feel when you heard this soldier? Yeah? Following the commands of his officer. Man, we are being conditioned so often by what we have been exposed to, right? Words are spells. Words carry frequency. Words carry vibration. Words carry energy, right? The soldier said he wanted to join. Yeah, he wanted to join this regiment in order to kill. And his officer said to him, let me see your war face. Let me see your war face. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows, people. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. There's this thing called the human vibrational frequency chart. Okay? The human vibrational frequency chart. Here it is right in front of me. Here, right? I don't know if you can see this. Let me try and bring this into focus. The human vibration frequency chart. Yeah? Our bodies and our minds carry different frequencies, such as hate, love, anger, jealousy, yeah? Envy. All of these different emotions. And they are measured off of hertz. Yeah? Which is a wave from peak to peak. These are measured in hertz. So, for example, shame carries a 20 hertz frequency. Can you see that? Let me try and bring this in. Hertz. So, shame carries a 20 hertz frequency. You've got guilt, which carries a 30 hertz frequency. You've got fear, which carries a 100 hertz frequency. Look at the chart, can you see it? 100 hertz frequency, fear. Then you've got things such as anger, which carries 150 hertz frequency, which is what this soldier was just displaying just a minute ago. Okay? 150 hertz frequency. Right? That is anger. Then you've got courage, 200 hertz frequency. And then we got love, which is a very powerful frequency that carries a 500 hertz frequency. And as you notice, sorry about that, the battery just ran out on me. Alright, going back to this emotional frequency chart. There's different frequencies. Our bodies and our minds carry different frequencies and different vibrations. Sometimes we feel several different emotions at the same time. If you notice a funnel there, right? It's like a funnel shape. So at the bottom of the funnel is where it's quite narrow, right? These are the lower frequencies. But what you want to try and get up to is to the top up here, which is enlightenment, which carries a 700 to 1000 hertz frequency. That's where you want to try to vibrate on that frequency. These lower frequencies, right, such as hate, anger, jealousy, those are lower emotional frequencies. We live in a 3D world, and we have to try and raise up our vibration. But what stops us from raising up our vibration? Words. Words are spells. Words carry frequency. Words carry vibration. Right? Words carry frequency. Words carry energy. Words carry vibration. If I turn around and said, "You bitch," the tone of that, right, will carry a different frequency from if I say, "You bitch," "you bitch." Can you hear the difference in the tone and the frequency? "You bitch," "you bitch," "you bitch." The tone and the vibration are different. Okay? If I said, "Bastard," "you effing bastard," "you bastard," "bastard." Can you hear the different frequency? Can you hear the different tone and pitch? "You bastard," "you bastard." Okay, they carry different frequency. Right? The same word carry a different frequency, a different vibration. Now you put that into a context. Right? If you were in a certain situation, the vibration and the frequency would be different. Okay? The frequency and the vibration would be different. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows there. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. Words are very, very powerful. On the news or in social media, you often hear words and you don't necessarily take them in. They go into your sublime, but sometimes we're consciously aware of these words. Now, during, was it late 90s, there was a word that was often used in the news. Weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction. Tell me how, when you hear those words, how does it make you feel? Weapons of mass destruction. Alright? For a lot of people, it'll conjure up fear in their minds. Weapons of mass destruction. We used to hear that quite a lot on the news. Yeah? When you hear the word terrorism, terrorism, what does that conjure up in your mind when you're hearing that on the news? Terrorism. Yeah? Weapons of mass destruction. These people, these newsreaders, right? They know exactly what they're doing, right? When they're reading out the news and they're using certain types of language. Okay? They know exactly what they're doing because words carry frequency, words carry vibration, words carry energy. If you ever listen to the news sometime and they talk about crisis, yeah? That word, crisis. When you think about that word, crisis, what does it conjure up in your mind? Crisis. There's been a food crisis. Right? Why do they use that word, crisis? Right? A food crisis. They talk about a war crisis. Yeah, they talk about housing crisis. So that word, the optimum word, crisis, what does that word mean? What does it conjure up in your mind? I'd like to know what you think. Right? Please drop me a comment and let me know what you think. Crisis. What do you hear? How does it make you feel when you hear that word crisis? A food crisis. Okay? You see, these people, these government officials, and these people in the mass media and in social media, they want to try and keep us on the lower frequency. That way, we're easier to control by using words like fear, by using words like mass crisis, by using things like housing inflation, yeah, by using words such as hyperinflation. That conjures up a certain image in people's minds. Trust what I'm telling you. Words carry frequency, words carry vibration. If I was to use this word, right, or writ, what is the difference between right and writ? They're both spelled similarly and they both sound similar phonetically, but they mean different things, right? And even the word right in itself, it could have more than one meaning. So listen to this. Right means that which complies with justice. Right. Right. That's right. That person should not get a jail sentence. Right. That's that type of right. Or correction. Right. So right means which complies with justice, law or reason when used as a noun. It can mean righteous, correct, appropriate when used as an adjective. An adjective is a describing word. It also means opposite of left. See? The one word has two different meanings. The one word, two different meanings. It means opposite to left. Right? And right, as in writing a letter, okay? That's spelled differently again, but phonetically they both sound the same. Right is spelled R-I-G-H-T. That's right. And there's two different definitions there of right. One to do with correction and the other one to do with a direction. And then you also have right, which is writing, which is W-R-I-T-E. I want you to go right. I want you to go right. Sorry about this camera again. I want you to go right. Which right am I talking about? The R-I-G-H-T, or am I talking about the W-R-I-T-E? Right. Right. Which right am I talking about? The language is very confusing. The English language in particular is a very confusing language. And right, R-I-T-E, that's a different type of right again. Some pronounce it writ. Well, what's the difference there? The R-I-T-E, a religious or other ceremony or act, a social custom or practice or conventional act, right? Such as Christmas. You have a certain convention over Christmas. Okay, people go out and they celebrate Christmas, or they go out and celebrate Halloween or Easter, right? That's a rite. Or rites. You also have a ceremony, right, which is often performed by the Catholic Church. You have somebody there who will perform a rite, which is, say, somebody is being possessed by, I don't know, by some evil spirit, and they will do some kind of ritual to try and get rid of that evil spirit from the person. That's a different rite again from a ceremony such as something like Christmas or Halloween or Easter. Alright, so now you got these 3 or 4 different rites. Anyway, going back to the concepts of emotional frequency. Words are spells, and wherever the mind goes, energy flows. Alright? The central theme is words have spells, yeah? And whatever you're thinking up here is where you're going to act, right? You're going to act off of what is in your mind. And these words carry so much energy and carry a spell also. Words carry spells. Words can make you feel spellbound. Alright? Check this other word. Patience. Patience. What am I talking about? Patience. Am I talking about patience as in when you go to the doctor you're a patient, or am I talking about patience in terms of patience as in a form of quality or a trait? Alright? Patient. The Patients. Patience. Right? Which is people receiving medical care. Plural of patient. While patience is the ability to wait calmly without getting annoyed. They sound similar but have distinct meanings. With patience, patience as in Patet's, referring to individuals, and patience, which is the Patience, to a quality or traits, though patience singularly can also mean tolerant or calm. Alright, so patience, as in terms of someone who's visiting a doctor's, has got double T in there, right? So it's a Patients, right? As opposed to patience, which is Patience. Oh, you seem to have a lot of patience waiting patiently, right? You're patient, waiting patiently. Oh man, the language is so confusing. The English language, man, it is so confusing. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. Go and get the patient. Go and get the patient right now. The patient's been waiting patiently for such a long time to see the doctor. Doctor has some patience. However, this other doctor wants to take his patients away from him, right? So one doctor starts arguing with the other doctor. I've been here for such a long time. I've been in this organization for 20 years. And now you want to take my patients away from me. Which patient is he talking about? The patients, right? That has the double T in there, right? Patience. Or is he talking about a patient as in a form of a trait? Yeah, being able to wait patiently. You see how confusing it is? You see how confusing the language is? Patience. You're taking my patience away from me. Words carry vibration, words carry frequency, words carry energy, right? Wherever the mind goes, energy flows there. There's a guy, and his name is George Orwell, right? And he had two concepts, which is called the Newspeak, right? How words are so powerful, right? And words can control people, okay? Words can control people. And he's talking about this other thing called doublethink. How you can have two contradictory words and put them together, right? To make almost like another word, Newspeak, right? To put two contradictory words together and make another word out of it, or make the word seem like it's meaningless, right? Orwell. George Orwell. There's a section in George Orwell's book, 1984, where he or someone is saying freedom is slavery. This is a very poignant phrase. What does it mean? Freedom is slavery. See, two contradictory words put together, right? And these words are not really meant to have no real meaning as such, right? But what is this Newspeak? that line, freedom is slavery, is one of three party slogans in 1984. It's meant to be jarring and should feel wrong. Orwell designed it as a perfect example of double think. Double think. Alright? The regime's method of controlling people by forcing them to accept two contradictory ideas at the same time. To accept two contradictory ideas at the same time. What the slogan means inside the world of the novel. The party claims that individual freedom leads to weakness. If you act independently, you're vulnerable. You can make mistakes, be punished or crushed by the system. The party argues that obedience makes you free. You supposedly escape the burden of choice, responsibility, and fear. It's psychological control disguised as protection. The slogan reframes oppression as safety. If people believe it, they'll also police themselves. Now this Newspeak, you see it in the news all the time. You see it in social media, how you have two contradictory words put together. Alright? And, man, these words, it allows those people in authority to control us as individuals, right? They don't want us thinking critically and thinking for ourselves. They want us to think what they want us to think. They want us to behave as they want us to behave. Window, right? Because these people are bringing in this new concept of Newspeak. Newspeak. And anybody who wants to use their own creative autonomy are being made to feel that they're the enemy, right? It's some others, right? Contradictory political messaging. Governments or parties may claim we support transparency whilst restricting access to information. We defend freedom whilst expanding surveillance. Don't you see that that's going on right now? They talk about freedom, right? But at the same time, they're creating surveillance everywhere. Two contradictory words put together there, right? Two contradictory words. Calling censorship, safeguarding the public, right? That's another one. Another example, calling aggressive military action peacekeeping. Calling aggressive military action peacekeeping, right? The language reframes the act so that the language reframes the act so that contradiction feels natural. It feels natural. George Orwell's Newspeak and doublethink is so powerful. He knows the power of language, okay? And now the government or governments who govern your mental, which that's all government just means, is governing your mental, right? They're governing your mental. They're using Newspeak in the news all the time, and they're also using it in the mass media, and they also use it in newspapers. It's just about everywhere now, right? How they put two words that are contradictory together, and it's meant to be jarring. It's meant to be jarring, and it really is not really meant to make any sense, but people accept it. People accept it. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows there. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows there. Going back to this frequency chart again, alright? We should be trying to raise our frequency and our vibration up, alright? till we get to here, to enlightenment. But those people who's in control, right, the elites, they don't want us to think for ourselves. They want us to live in fear and anger, right? So they know about these emotional frequencies. Trust. They know about these emotional frequencies, such as shame, which carries a 20 hertz frequency. As I said, 100 hertz frequency, fear. Fear, right? That's a good tool for keeping people in their place. Fear. Anger, 150 hertz frequency. Love, right? We should be trying to move up towards this love frequency, which carries a 500 hertz frequency. But right now there's so much divide and rule going on in society. So much divide and rule. There's not enough love in the world at the moment, right? There's more hatred, vindictiveness and fear that's controlling our emotions right now. But we need to try and raise our frequency up to this enlightenment frequency, which is 700 to 1000 hertz frequency. Look. See? Man. I've been trying to help people for the longest of time. Been telling people about emotional frequency from the longest of time. I've been telling people about this concept of wherever the mind goes, energy flows. I've been talking about words of spells, and I've been doing videos on that for the longest of time. The information will only get through to a couple of people, and so long as it does, I'm doing my job. I'm doing a part 2 to this, so watch out for part 2. One last thing, I have a merch store with caps, hats, bags, sweaters, t-shirts. Go look on the bottom of the page and you see this. Thank you, Eldad.